Instant Teams is a customer experience marketplace that connects employers to the military spouse talent community.
What is it about the military spouses talent pool that's unique?
And what we found is because our military spouses are highly empathetic, they can connect really well with other people because they've lived all over. So when we put them on customer accounts and they're connecting with their customers, the relationships are very strong and they're very fast learners.
So anyone that is on a military base is considered to be on US soil?
Yes. As an entrepreneur, you're always like, there's this large group of very skilled individuals that don't know how to connect to companies in a remote capacity. There are a lot of companies that have no idea this population even exists and the skills that they're missing out on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Humans of Staffing. Today, we have Liza Rodewald, the CEO of Instant Teams. Welcome, Liza. This is Humans of Staffing. My name is Sammy Singh, along with my co-host, TJ Sammy. And we run Work Now. And this podcast is specifically for the staffing industry, which you are a part of. And as we have all been chatting for a few minutes here, you're also in the tech business and you're a programmer by profession. So go figure. So this is going to be fun. So Liza, tell us about yourself, your company, and then we can dive into the rest.
All right. Well, thanks for having me today. I'm excited to be here. I'm Liza Rodewald, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Instant Teams. And Instant Teams is a customer experience marketplace that connects employers to the military spouse talent community through our BPO solutions. So we're a full outsourced solution provider, as well as our job board products and brand activations that we allow brands to come in front of our community. So excited to be here and to dive in more.
What led you to do this? So our interest always lies in how did you get to where you did? It's always a journey. This is no destination, right? At the end of the day. No. So tell us more about what your education, because that's another big thing for us. You are in tech. Yes. And as a programmer, tell us about what your professional going to school, kind of your first business and how you evolved to this stage.
Sure. It's definitely a journey. It's a long journey. So I'll keep it abbreviated to kind of give everyone an idea. But I actually went to college on a music scholarship and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Like many college students, I bounced around, changed my major 3 or 4 times, took a computer class and thought, I kind of like this. I was not exposed to it. So I did not go to a high school that had any kind of programming or computer science courses. So it's the first time I'd really seen it. And I was really interested in it. And so I decided I was changing my major to computer science. So I ended up getting a degree in computer science. The thing that I loved about it, because I am a bit of a creative person, and people usually think creative people aren't programmers, but I could argue against that. Most programmers I know are musicians or do something in the arts in some form. But it was the idea of solving a problem with technology and seeing somebody's work change that was exciting to me. Like I created something, it helped them in their job. It helped them, automate something or make something easier or more enjoyable for them. And to me, that was exciting and fun to figure out the problem, solve it, and then really help somebody. And so I fell in love with that process. I graduated, got my first job as an engineer, worked there for about 5 or 6 years. And because I'm a programmer who also can communicate, not all programmers like to communicate in front of customers or be kind of that front part of the process. But I loved that. I loved working with customers. I loved talking to them, figuring out what their problems were, bringing that back and engineering the solution, right? That's the part I really liked. And so they had me traveling everywhere, which I loved. But at the time I had a 16-month-old son and it was just too much. I was gone all the time. He was sick all the time. I was sick all the time. So I was like, there's got to be a different way to design my life. Right. And that's when I decided I was going to start a consulting business. So I started my very first business was a software consulting business. And once I did that, the first year I made twice as much money consulting as I did working for the company. So I was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And that's kind of how I got the taste. So a little bit at a time, right? I didn't take a huge giant leap and start a big company at first, but I started a smaller one, grew it, and then kind of got the bug each time. Like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I build? What else can I grow? And how does this entrepreneur space work? Like, I didn't even know at the time, but I'd worked for a startup. That was my first job. They didn't call it a startup in that time or in that space that I was in, but there was only like 16 of us. So I'm like, oh, that was definitely a startup. So I've grown up. That's the only place I've been is in the startup land.
And moving, that change always requires your spouse to be the biggest part. Both of us here, without our spouses supporting us going into our crazy, crazy world,
yeah,
it's impossible. How did that go about?
Yeah. So a little easier in the first because it's like smaller leaps. But I will say when I decided to start Instant Teams, I actually shut down my software business after about probably 9 months of Instant Teams because I was like, okay, we've got something here. We want to raise venture. We want to scale this company. I cannot have my hands in multiple things. This is going to take my sole focus, which meant a huge income loss for us as a family. And my husband's in the military, hence some of this military spouse connection, which I'm sure we'll get to. But at the time, they were moving us to Hawaii, which is like the most expensive place to live. So I actually pitched him with a deck. I had my own deck and I was like, hey, this is how much money we make now. This is how much money we're going to make, when we move. I need you to give me, I gave him a time period and I was like, if I can't get the business to this certain stage in this time period, I'll pick up some contracts or do something to kind of help supplement. But I need you to give me this amount of time to prove that this can be something. And so he was like, okay. And that's how we did it.
Did that then you decided to stay? Did he leave the military at that point or he's still serving? So he just decided to just go on with it.
Yes. Yeah. Nope. He's still in. So we just had to kind of adjust our lifestyle to the income level we were going to be at for a little while until, I was able to climb back up.
Let's talk about the germination of the idea for Instant Teams because you've been at it for 9 years, which is to us pre-COVID, right? That's the whole world changed and everybody came to your lane. Well, right. You were already running in your lane way before any one of us.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How did that germinate? Where did you see and why? And then technology-wise, I'm sure TJ can dig in a lot more into that as how that went about.
Yeah. So to backtrack a little bit, when I was running my software company, I was actually employing a lot of people nationwide because I did a lot of government work and it was in the state government. So I was doing my software remotely when I first started. That was 21 years ago, right? So I was building teams, putting things together, running them all remotely back then. And there was no good solutions back then to find the talent, pull people in. And I could name a few, but that I was using at the time. So I bought the domain Instant Teams like 15 years ago. So I was like, I need more talent. I need better ways to manage people, bring them in, reuse them for projects. And so I bought the domain, but then it just kind of sat there. And then my husband, who was active duty, he was in the reserves. Then he decided he wanted to go back active duty. And so that was my first time being in the military space myself. And we moved to a military area and every single spouse I would meet would be like, Liza, how are you working? How are you doing all of this stuff while we move so much? Maintaining their career had been almost impossible because move every 2 to 3 years. When I became a spouse, I moved 6 times in 7 years. So you can imagine trying to get a job normally would be almost impossible, especially if you're high level trying to grow your career and constantly have the rug pulled out from under you. And so as an entrepreneur, you're always like, there's this large group of very skilled individuals that don't know how to connect to companies in a remote capacity. There are a lot of companies that have no idea this population even exists and the skills that they're missing out on. So how do we bring these two things together and create a business solution that actually generates opportunity for this community? And that's where kind of the idea sparked for Instant Teams.
What would be interesting for me to find out really is, so you've got this talent pool now, right? So these are military spouses that offer their skill set What is so unique about this talent pool that you discovered working with versus a talent pool from, like, for example, we put up a job, right? Hey, we need a customer support rep. And these are folks from various backgrounds, industry experiences. What is it
Mhm.
about the military spouses talent pool that's unique that you've discovered with time?
Yeah. So it's definitely, I mean, we always knew they were great, right? When we started off, but it's like, what is it in the business setting that makes this really stand out? And we got to that by working with customers. And what we found is because our military spouses are highly empathetic because of the lifestyle they live, they speak multiple languages because they've been in multiple places. They can connect really well with other people because they've lived all over. So they've probably lived in Southern California. They have a way to connect with you. So when we put them on customer accounts and they're connecting with their customers, the relationships are very strong and they're very fast learners. So their speed to proficiency is extremely fast because they're used to being thrown into new environments, having to figure things out. So those soft skills that they have by the lifestyle really put them ahead. The other thing, and the reason why kind of we ended up putting our stake in the ground for CX, particularly, it's all of those soft skills, but also that they want to keep their job when they move. They do not want to start over. So the attrition in our military spouse community is so low in this space. Like our annualized attrition is right now around like 18%. Customer experience, you're talking 40, 50, 60%. So our retention is super high. And so those things make it really unique in the space that we operate in and for the community and employers that are looking to kind of bridge that gap.
It's almost like the work is the most stable component of your life, right?
Yeah,
Because
it
even
is.
if you're moving, your work kind of remains the same. Right?
Right. And if you think about it, it's an identity thing, right?
Yeah.
Most military spouses don't have their own identity in the military. They're a dependent. We get told where we're going, where we're moving. We don't really have a lot of voice in all of that. And so when they have their own identity, their own work, their own career, it's a way for them to really express their own value outside of being a service member's spouse, right? And so once they get that identity, they want to hold on to it and they want that to be kind of the grounding force as they move, which is where that technology piece, TJ, comes in that we talked about building, that app and that community and that component of what we do at Instant Teams is so strong because it becomes the grounding force for Instant Teams, right? It is where they come to. It's their home base, right? Where they come to as life is crazy and they're moving all around, but they have a job here and they have a community here at Instant Teams that stays no matter where they're at.
And especially if you're moving from one location to another, there's a high chance you'll actually run into someone who's an Instant Team member as well. I think that helps out as well with that community, right? Because it's such a vertical right at the end of the day. So,
is there a lot of training / orientation that you have to do to kind of get them used to that? Listen, because confidence sometimes they may not believe that, gosh, I do have a skill. Is there a lot more assessment required for you to identify what that skill is and then give them confidence and training on that skill that, hey, no matter where you are, this is going to be there?
So I would say the biggest challenge is them recognizing the skills they have and being able to voice them and document them in a way that makes sense, right? Because they have moved around, they have a lot of jobs. Another reason why we developed our piece of technology is because most people or ATSs will look at a general chronological resume of a military spouse and be like, I'm not hiring this person. They're a job hopper. They're inconsistent, and that's because they've moved all these places. They can't help it that they've had 10 jobs in 10 years, right? They were forced to do that. And so we translate it in a different way. That's all skills based. And we help pull that out through our assessments and different things that we use in order to say, okay, you did these things. Here's how it translates into the CX space. Here's how this puts you kind of above the pack. And then here's how we present this to potential employers so that you don't get immediately, knocked out of the running just because your chronological resume doesn't look as appealing based on your lifestyle.
So majority of the time, is it a specific job that is yours? So if you had to look at your entire, they call it job requisitions.
Yeah.
Is it mainly data entry? Is it usually customer service? Is it what are the majority of the rules that are coming through?
So we try to focus mostly in customer experience. So anything that touches the customer life cycle. It can be forward facing or it can be back office. So customer success, a lot of our things are customer success, account management, higher level training. We do a lot of sales and onboarding. So a lot of our tech companies will have our teams actually onboard their new customers, train them in the software, anything that's kind of a higher level support outside of kind of a tier 1 call center, anything that's like tier 2, tier 3. Those are the types of roles we're typically in. The data analytics around the customer journey, the customer experience. Those are the lanes we try to play in so that we can scale what we do. When we first started off, we were like, okay, you can have any job. Like we have military spouses that can do anything. And that is true, right? They're of all skill type levels that you can imagine. It's a very diverse demographic of individuals, but we can't really scale that. Right. I can't scale one-offs here. They're extremely specialized in certain areas. I remember one time I talked to a military spouse and she had like a PhD in physics. And she's like, can you help me? And I'm like, I'm sure there's a role here, but that's very specialized for what we do. And, although I want to help you, like if my main goal is to help as many spouses as I can. And so for us, the focus on CX helps us scale and help spouses in volume versus just one at a time one-offs.
What's your scale up? I should call it a sales motion. What is your sales motion? How are sales done at this point in time? Is it mainly marketing driven? Is it salesperson driven? Or these folks are also your greatest, salespeople as well?
Yeah, we do have a viral component to what we do, especially on the career seeker side, right? We don't spend advertising dollars to reach the military spouse community. They just come to us naturally because it's a very viral type community. Once somebody gets a job, they go tell everybody else that they have a job, and we do a lot of events. So that's how we do that side of the house. But for the customer side, to date, it's mostly been outbound, like cold outbound. We have a whole team, military spouses that connect with people on LinkedIn, send them emails, ask to have meetings. And that's how we get most of our customers to date, and then referrals from them, right? Like once we work in. What we're seeing now, since it's been year 9, which is nice, some of the people that we worked with in one company have now moved to another company. And so they call us from that company. I'm like, yeah, this is nice. These referrals are great.
Is there a particular state that you're the busiest at? So everybody has, hey, we have the best client base. Are there any states or regions that are doing really well where you've seen growth?
To be honest, no. I mean, our customers and our spouses are everywhere. We're completely distributed. I'm here in North Carolina in our headquarters, but our headquarters is really only here because I am here. And we needed a physical space for all the mail. So if you run a remote company, it's a little bit of a nightmare not to have a place to have mail come to. So that's mainly why we have an office here. But everything is pretty distributed. Now, from an industry perspective, we're heavier in insurance and financial services and healthcare, anything that's kind of more regulated because they use US-based resources for that. And we are a US-based BPO. So all of our resources are onshore. But what's really unique about what we do, and this is what I found product market fit, right? When you're looking for that, when you first launch, is that I have US citizens, but they're located globally in every time zone. And they're technically on US soil, even if they're in Germany or Japan.
What a great point. What a great point. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Well, I didn't either until we started doing it. I'm like, all right, here's a thread. Here's something that gives us a unique advantage, right? To help.
It's kind of being in the Vatican, right? You've really, from Rome, you've got into the Vatican. It's a different country. You completely different rules. It's the same exact thing. So anyone that is on a military base is considered to be on US soil.
Yes.
Does it include all military bases, or sometimes it is military bases? They can be a toss-up.
It includes all. There are some different regulations in different countries that you have to do additional things for, based on, they call them SOFA agreements. So each country has a SOFA agreement with the United States, and some of them have intricacies in them. But for the most part, they're treated the same.
Yes, but even your payroll then is just like processing US payroll then.
Yes.
even if they're physically anywhere, right?
Yes.
Because it's under U.S. jurisdiction.
That also brings an interesting point. So that means as somebody who's in Germany, you're running their payroll. Would it be based on the residential address in the US with state?
Yes, because they keep their home of record in the United States. So even me right now, I am physically in North Carolina, but I am a resident of Tennessee. So my payroll goes through Tennessee.
See, learn something new every day. Never knew that was the case.
Yeah.
How is now, technology-wise, how's AI playing a role in all of this for you?
Yeah. So we call it kind of the flywheel, and the technology is at the center of that, right? The flywheel is the community that we built. When we went and started Instant Teams, we knew that was the most important component, is to build trust in the military spouse base, see what they need, and always come back to that kind of home base, right? That connection point. And so we built our app so that military spouses can connect with each other. They can get resources. They can attend events, both virtual and in person with us. They're constantly having touch points with Instant Teams and each other, right? So it kind of creates that connectivity. We did, I'm a software engineer. So of course I want to over engineer everything that we do. So we did build out a whole ATS in our technology at one point in time. But what I discovered is, okay, we're not an ATS company. This is, if we're going to have sink too much money into keeping up, although it was great and it did a lot of fancy things, I eventually pulled it back and just went back to just the community part. And then we integrate with other backend ATSs because that made more sense on the product roadmap, although it hurts your, developer heart to do things like that. But the core of the technology needed to stay on the community side. And so that's kind of what we've been focused on and what we've built. And then the job board piece, we've built ourselves as well, because our job board is more like a job advertisement that translates your job into how a military spouse why they would want to work for your company, why they would want to take that job. And then it integrates with your ATS so that it's integrated in your side. You can process the applications like you normally would, but you get access to our community pool. So what we found is integrating with other technology pieces make more sense than forcing everybody to use ours.
Got it. You've been 100% remote. You said over 9 years, right? Is it
Yes.
true? So you've been remote before it became popular to be remote, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how do you ensure, your culture? Because really the culture comes from the top, right? How do you ensure for your internal teams the culture is really followed, or ensure that there's a certain type of rules, regulations being followed across the board for your internal team members? Do you do weekly calls? Do you meet once a year in person with your executive team? How are you enabling that today?
Sure. So I love in person if you can make it happen, right? And so anytime I can bring teams or sub teams in to the office here, or we can meet in other locations, I always love to do that because I think personal connections like that are important. When you can't do that, you obviously supplement in the remote space. I'm actually missing our monthly all call to record this podcast. So we do those types of things, of course, all the time. But my co-founder and I have built the company, and we've never lived in the same location. So we've built the company remote. I actually raised our venture funds completely remote pre-COVID, before that was a thing too. And so it is really ingrained in how my co-founder and I have been able to build and work on a company and add each team member in, and each team folding them into the culture and making sure that's strong. Communication, we have core values. Obviously, we do core value awards where we specifically point out this is the core value that was demonstrated, and this is the award that this individual is getting. So to reinforce the values of the company, we spend a lot of time talking about them, reinforcing those. It is harder in the remote environment. So I know a lot of people will say remote is the way, it's the only way. Remote is great, and we do it because our community absolutely needs it. It's a necessity for our military spouses, right? They can continue their career. You get a really great employee. But anytime you can mix the hybrid pieces in, or you can get people together, either online or in person. It just adds to that culture and that community, which is why we have 75 in-person events for our community across the globe every single year, right? We believe in both of those things. And the stronger your connections are with each other are built the way we're building them today, talking to each other over a piece of technology, but also in person.
Everybody, I believe it's a great story and it's a good culture and you've got, everything right. Where's the challenge in the sales if it does come about? Where have you felt that growth, right? What are the blockers typically on your side?
So a couple of them that come up, one is if they're price sensitive, right? So we cannot compete with an offshore provider. We're just not even in the same ballpark, right? So if they're super price sensitive, we know out the gate it's not going to work. If they're not partnership driven, so we're very partnership oriented. So we want to work with companies that want feedback that we can give and they can give us so that we build things together. We're very aligned like that. So if someone wants something that is not aligned culturally, that can be an issue with what we want to do. I would say our biggest challenge is kind of getting the word out. And then a lot of our competitors are very large and we just kind of need a foot in the door, right? Once we get a foot in the door, our performance and everything, we expand accounts all day long. Our expansion is our biggest revenue driver for the company. And we just need that pilot opportunity. But sometimes getting a pilot in a big organization when you're going against some of the giants in the space can be hard.
So your ideal customer is somebody at an enterprise level. What's the profile of your ideal customer? Is it enterprise, medium market? Which level do you think?
In enterprise and mid-market, we have both that are great success stories within the company. Mid-market are like some of my personal favorites because they're usually more partnership oriented and you can create and do a lot of cool things with them. So mid-market is fun to work with, and the teams are usually smaller. So the culture of the teams are easier to maintain and to really dig into. So those team sizes are typically somewhere between 20 and 75. Whereas you get into enterprise and they're 200 plus, 150, 200 plus, right? And so that's kind of a different management angle there. But we can do either one. We do a lot of work in insurance and we do a lot of seasonal work. Which a lot of BPOs don't like to do, but we actually like to do those because some of our military spouses just want to work a certain period of time, make some money, and then be, off for the summer with their kids, or they're moving and they can only dedicate for a little while, but they come back every year and work that same seasonal opportunity. So the retention of that is high. So our demographic is so varied that the seasonal work actually works well for our model.
Are there a lot of times that they also physically can show up at a client? Does that ever work? It does, right? Depending on the state and the place?
Yes. So we have some, we try to stay away from anything that's completely in person, but if it's hybrid or they're a large organization where they have multiple places so that if a spouse moves, they can go ahead and like they do their training in Seattle and then they move to Texas and they can do their training in Dallas, right? Like things that the corporations that are spread out like that, most of the in-person things we've done are at least hybrid.
Do the clients at all get any type of, like there's WOTC credits, anything else? But I believe because they are not military personnel, they are not able to qualify, right? It's that there's a difference.
Yeah. And you are hitting exactly why we have the technology built in to our system, because military spouses are not protected class. So not only can you not get a tax credit, but you can't hire a military spouse just because you're a military spouse. So we have to fill our funnel with military spouses through our marketing, through our apps, through the things that we do so that when we post a job, they are the ones applying to the job so that the majority of everyone coming through are military spouses. It's something we've been working on at DC, but hasn't quite made it through yet.
Got it. Because they're civilians in that sense, and they're equal to anybody else applying. So in a way, you're keeping your network. The right way is that it's within that group. Then
Right.
when the jobs come in, that is the group that's applying for
Seize
it,
them. Yes. Yes. That's
right?
exactly right.
Because you can't exactly say, "Oh, I'm closing this out." No, you can't.
No.
You kept it open, but it's more famous for that group.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we have people that are not military spouses that work for Instant Teams, obviously. But we fill our funnel by having that app and having the technology that's just for them.
Well, what stage did you raise the money, Liza? Is it when you started 9 years ago, or was it 5, 6 years into the venture you went the VC route?
We went the VC route about a year and a half into
Okay, so recently.
starting. Well, no, a year.
No, starting.
Starting.
Okay, starting.
So like we were a year 7.5, years ago
Got it.
in business whenever we, because we did the product market fit, we saw where the lane was, and then we decided, okay, to scale this where we want to scale it, to build the technology piece, we're going to need capital infusion. So we started off with angel. So our first rounds were angel with the micro VC. Then we did a series seed with another VC. And then we did our Series A, which Tiger Global led in 2022.
As far as plans, is it really so there's two types. One is that they want this to be successful and exit. The other one's the lifestyle business, as they call it. Staffing typically is a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
Here, are you calling? Yes, you have a niche in the staffing side. So in a way, you're a staffing platform, because then the valuations are very different. One's a pure tech play.
Yeah.
One is this, and then there's a combo,
Right.
which is what the Blue Crews of the world and Vanolo and everybody else have done.
Yeah.
You kind of fall into that category, I would say.
Yes. The marketplace, the combo of tech-enabled service, like depending on who you're talking to, depends on which bucket, you kind of mold into. But yeah, that blend of technology, the blend of the marketplace, the blend of the community side, along with the traditional BPO line of revenue that we have, kind of makes it interesting to tell the story, but it's also interesting in the exit kind of outcomes.
On a technical side, and we can decide to keep this or delete this, but do you then track? So is your revenue then? One is revenue, which is just as they say, professional revenue. Then you've got also charge for the technology separately, so that you can line item it as technology.
Yeah. So anything that's not BPO is on the job board kind of SaaS side of the house. So there's SaaS revenue from that. And then there's also brand activation revenue. So it's advertisement in the marketplace that we do. So those are the two like high margin pieces. And then you have the BPO side, which is lower margin, but still a good margin for our industry.
What's your goal for 2026?
Well, after raising money, our goal was scale to profitability. We're at that level. So 2026, my goal, one of my major goals is to kind of take the company, we're calling it kind of gather at the table, but gather us up at the table, what we've accomplished so far, celebrate that a little bit, because it's very hard to do that, especially in a remote environment. And as founders and entrepreneurs, like we have a hard time celebrating. We're always moving to the next thing, right? Next goal, next milestone, and then you look back and you're like, oh, wow, we've accomplished a lot and nobody said anything because we're just moving on to the next one. And so one, recognizing that, because this last 3 years has been hard. One of the things we did is we lost one of our big customers that went out of business overnight, and a huge chunk of revenue we lost. We had to lay off people. I don't like to do that, right? Nobody likes to go through that. And that was hard. And the whole company did it, came together, executed it as well as we could. And we've been climbing back out of that successfully, right? So taking time to really acknowledge that. And acknowledge everyone who went through it and helped the company get to the space that it's at. Because we've been in such you guys know, you raise money, you're in growth, hyper growth, grow at all costs, do all these things. You're in such a fast track that sometimes it's hard to just sit back and say, okay, this is what we accomplished. What do we want the business to look like, right? We want to grow, obviously. We want to hit the numbers that we need to hit. but how do we want the business to feel and to operate? And so that's kind of like my focus for 2026. Obviously, I have growth goals. We all always do, but like, how do I want the culture of this company right now in this moment, before an exit, before we're doing these things? How do I want it to feel? And that may be a very soft thing, but that's what's kind of been going through my mind as to like how to set up 2026.
I have more of a professional yet personal question. Uh, I'm a techie as well. So here you are with a software engineering background, right? So you alluded to this earlier where, as techies, you over-engineer everything, right? It's just like, oh, I can build it. Why do I need to do X or why do I need to do Y? What are some of the challenges you faced, with given the fact that we have an engineering mindset and now you're a CEO of a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that conflict between over-engineering, overthinking, and then some of the areas that you might not be best at, right? Like it could be finance, could be legal, it could be marketing, it could be sales. So what was that transition when you went out and raised money and you're like, oh my God, this is the area I wish I knew more, or I thought of it less? Any particular areas as such?
Yeah, finance, hands down finance. I tell everybody, take a finance class. If you have never taken an actual formal finance class, that has been probably my biggest learning curve. And numbers, you did a lot of math. Computer science, I did very advanced math, right? But none of it applied to cap tables and waterfall models and all of these things that are very complicated, legal and finance kind of mixed together. So those are areas I wish I knew more about, but I could say, man, in 9 years, I have learned so much that I had no idea about prior to that. But I do think engineers make good CEOs. I think it's a good path because of that analytical, logical side we have. And if you're an entrepreneur that is like that, you're go, vision, but you also have this other part of your brain that's like, okay, vision, but it's got to work. Like it's also got to be tested. We've got to iterate on it. It's not going to be perfect out of the box, right? Like you have that experience, and I think it really helps.
And I completely agree with you because that's the challenge I have, right? I'm on these calls and here's a solution and I can't help myself but think about the execution side, right? I'm like, so you can validate very early on in a, kind of a prospecting cycle that, I see that. And sometimes it's a hindrance too, because sometimes you've just got to bite the bullet and just say yes, and then you figure it out. But the engineering mind, you've got to think it through because at the end of the day, you're the one delivering it, right? That's it. So right. I think
if it doesn't work, it's your fault.
It is. Excellent. Yeah. So I was like, now I was just curious. And that's exactly how I feel as well, having an engineering mind and trying to be on, all these demos and marketing and all these calls as well. So refreshing to hear that.
The other thing is my workday vastly changed, right? Because in engineering programming, I might talk to somebody once or twice a day, but the most of the time I'm heads down. I'm coding like the world doesn't exist outside of that, really, because you're so focused, right? And now I talk all day. I don't know. I get much focus time at all. I'm on a call. I'm answering a question. I'm answering emails. I'm just constantly communicating, right? Which is just totally different than how it used to be.
But the coding world has changed as well, right? With the, with AI coming in, so many things are changing. But I think the fundamentals of knowing coding is the fundamentals of knowing coding.
Right.
It's kind of learning how to walk. You're not going to be able to do anything else.
Right.
So we know that you're trying to grow this, and it's very refreshing for you to say that it's sometimes good to sit and reflect. We go through the same thing. It's quarter by quarter. I don't believe anybody can do any better. And I think even as the U.S. Public companies as well, they're trying to get them off of the quarter system. Because you can think of an idea, in a quarter, nothing's going to happen. H1, you'll get something. It's really Q3 where you're going to see something happen or not.
Right.
And a year's gone by and you know whether something worked because initially you do knee-jerk reaction on a monthly basis or every run that you do, right? Every update you're doing, you're knee-jerk.
Right. Yeah.
Knee-jerk at all times. Client needs it. Oh my God, world's going to change. We got to jump into it. And 7 years later, none the wise, as they say, you just got to get wiser because reflecting, you can never grow enough, but you can build a culture and keep people around and be happy at it. Because it really has changed even our mindset to that matter, that steady, good, healthy growth is better than anything else.
Yes.
Everybody forgets EBITDA. Everybody forgets that you're here to make money. Growth alone doesn't cut it.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's inflection points where that becomes more important. And I think that is kind of where one of the times that I'm at with my team, like that inflection point of, all right, we've pushed so hard for so long. At what point do we pause, celebrate what we've done, and together collaboratively pick the goals? I've been running them mostly, right? Setting the bars high. But how do we get everybody collaboratively building them and kind of move from just me pushing the vision to them pushing the vision? And that's kind of my goal for 2026 as the CEO. Not that my team's not doing those kinds of things. They are bringing them, right? But really empowering them, because that's where the real growth is going to happen, right? When I can step back a little bit and let them create some magic that I don't have to have my hands necessarily so tight around, which is hard as an entrepreneur and as a CEO, because I like to be involved in a lot of the things. So I'm basically talking to myself right now in this podcast and reminding myself of what I need to do.
Don't worry. It's something that you'll never ever, entrepreneurship, once it's a drug and a disease that never goes away.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do in it better for yourself is start bringing in more people, build a good team, but within that also, our standards become so high because you're going to say, you could probably sell the best. You have the best vision. No one else can do. And in your case, it's even more dangerous. You can even code on top of that, right? You're like, I can code the best. I know about this and I know about that. Guess what? How in the world is anybody going to match those 5 skill sets? That person does not exist, right?
Right.
So in your case, then it becomes necessary to bring other people in, and maybe a piece of you they can do, maybe not as good. And you're not alone. We all suffer from the same affliction, and smart are the ones who are able to find good, not only with co-founders first, then be able to replicate that and breathe, because there is no end to the world. The world's not going to end if something didn't occur in a month. Yeah, clients will come. You've seen it. You've lost a very big customer.
Yes.
You survived.
Yes.
You reflected. You came out of it. A lot of times it's not your fault. And even if it is your fault, what are you going to do except reflect upon it, make changes,
Right.
Be truthful about why it occurred, and then try not to repeat it. That's in a shell entrepreneurship as it goes. Anything else, Liza, that you would like to discuss that we might have missed out? To me, it's where's AI going, right? How is it changing your piece? That's right, really big for us to know, because you are in a marketplace environment, and now with the bots coming in, how is this whole thing changing? You, especially being a techie.
Yeah. AI is the buzzword for everyone, right? But I do think fundamentally it's changing the way we work. We're just seeing the tip of it right now with automation and things like that. It's going to become the layer eventually. It's on its way there. And from my perspective, one of the things I did is Q2 of this year, I made every single corporate team member take the Google AI certification and training. So everyone had it. So everyone has the same baseline of knowledge, because I think that's important, right? Because it's in all kinds of flavors, and everyone has a different perception of what it is, and how to use it, how to not use it. So I wanted everybody to have at least the same bottom layer of knowledge. And for the CX space, it's replacing a lot of that tier 1 customer support, or at least that's the desire of our customers. Their desire is that tier 1 goes away and it's all automated by AI. But for me and where I sit, we sit on top of that. So we're tier 2, we're tier 3. We're able to implement the AI. We're able to train the models. We're able to pull the data. We're able to educate the customers on how to train their models better because we own the training. So it's moving in a positive space for Instant Teams businesses. The tier 1 is going to get definitely hurt by, and it won't replace it as fast as people want it to. And I've seen customers try to implement it already and it fail because they don't have the skill sets yet to be able to train them effectively to do what they're trying to get them to do. So there's a lot of struggle in the space right now, but in 5 years, that'll be solved. Right. And then where are we going? And so it's something that is on my mind a lot. I try to live 5-10 years ahead of where I think it's going to go and where the company Instant Teams needs to follow in suit from it. So it's very interesting, but I think it will create higher level roles for the military spouse community and our communities as a whole. And they'll start replacing those mundane things nobody wants to do anyway.
I think, where your team's value I see on an AI front is exactly what you mentioned. And I didn't look at it that way. The frontline support, as you mentioned, will eventually go away as these AI tools get more sophisticated. But the biggest challenge is that second level teams, that your teams are more knowledgeable, more hands-on experience. They have the training data with them. I think you guys are more positioned to train those AI tools than anybody else.
Right.
And I think that's where the value is. I mean, I look at it ourselves as well, right? We use SIA, we use HubSpot, we use their chatbot for support as well. But the reality on the ground is for me to really train that chatbot, it's my senior support individual coming in and creating all this training data and source documents to say, hey, this is how we've solved this problem over the last 1 year. Hey, chatbot, go use these source of documents and so forth. And I think that's one service, Liza, that you guys can provide to your customers, because you can go back and if they are implementing AI tools, their probability of success is much higher if one of your team members gets involved and say, hey, let us help you implement this AI tool. We know your processes and the depth better than you might even know. Let us help you create those. And maybe that could be more of a collaboration and a service and an add-on service for you guys. Because I would do it. No, I would use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying that with 2 right now.
It's brilliant, Liza, because everybody here, if somebody wants to put it in the front line, as TJ said, who the heck is going to train it? You also need people to train it.
Yeah.
So you may be able to deploy it in actually more places now than ever before. So great. I think to us, as that tickles us. That's good stuff right there. And Thank you for bringing up, I think it was a golden nugget that you made everybody go through a Google AI certification. I believe that's something even we may look into implementing. I should be taking one. Everybody should be taking one, because it sets the baseline of understanding as a company, like what the heck is going on. Yes. I can throw some, jargon to scare people, right? That's what's real is real. Our kids already trained on it. They don't need anything. They're running with it. It's all of us that are going to lag behind. We're the ones who are going to have to do that at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that was important. I did it first, and I made the leadership team do it first, so that we said, I'm not going to require you to do anything that I didn't do myself, or that your leaders didn't do themselves. And so that's how we kind of got company buy-in to get everybody. And they were excited about learning it. But I think having that baseline of knowledge, so we know we can talk from at least this point with anyone in the company, because they've all had at least this level of training. And some are way advanced and some are right at that level, right? But you have that baseline. I think it's important. It helps.
That's excellent. Liza, any shout outs to anyone, anything that you would like to talk about that like I said, we might have missed, or you can do your shout outs, man.
Shout outs to
your teams, your anybody that you may want to, it's all up to you.
Yeah.
And I believe you've already kind of spoken about it right in the front. You've done a great job. And this, we may not keep this portion, but I just want to talk about it. So we did cover the company, what you do. We dug into the kind of talent. So you've been able to even angle it to the talent, angle it to the companies, angle the AI. Did we miss anything at all in this that we can chat about? I'm looking through your profile as well, just to make sure. It looks like we covered everything. Gosh, you've done this quite a bit, Liza. You've got it down. You covered it really well.
Thank you.
So on our side,
like those
Liza,
pitch decks. Your pitch decks with the VCs have got it down to the T.
Oh my gosh.
Give you 2 minutes and I can give you an overview.
How many times you've written and rewritten a pitch deck? I mean, oh my gosh, so many versions of those things.
And also, if anybody says no, it does okay, no problem. Have a good time. Off to the next.
I heard lots of no's, so you definitely have to be used to getting that kind of feedback. I even had somebody tell me, you need to get used to the word failure. And I was like, no, that's exactly what I'm not going to do. So I don't know if they were using it to motivate me because they knew that, that would light a fire under me or what, but no, definitely heard a lot of no's and had some rejection along the way.
And that's what makes a better company, a better entrepreneur, a better leader, a better of everything. That's what builds you. But again, Liza, we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Keep in touch with us. Love for you to come back in, between 6 to 8 months. Even if anything's changed that has really changed for you fundamentally that everybody could learn from. Love for you to come back and tell us about it. Any learning lessons, because today, we really got some golden nuggets out, and you're completely different than everybody in our world, so to speak, which is so amazing because that's what brings value to everyone.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been a lot of fun. This is a great podcast. If you're in North Carolina, please come by and see me. We'll get together. If I'm in Southern California, I'll look you guys up because I think you would be fun to grab a drink with. You
would have fun with us. We enjoy this space. We enjoy other entrepreneurs, and we feel the joy and the pain at the same time.
Yeah, I can tell.
So thank you so much, Liza, for being on Humans of Staffing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
TJ. Thank you, Sam.
Pleasure.